Good day, everyone. Today we will be presenting chapters 5, 6, and 7. I'm Joby May Torres, and I will be presenting chapter 5, Job Demands, Health, and Well-Being. In the busy world of hospitality and tourism, understanding how job demands affect employees' health and well-being is essential for making sure staff can perform well and guests are happy. Chapter 5 focuses on how to create a work environment that supports employees' physical, mental health through good ergonomics and facility planning. This chapter looks at various demands that hospitality and tourism workers face every day, such as physical work, mental tasks, and emotional stress. By understanding these demands, we can find ways to reduce their negative effect. The chapter also stresses the importance of designing workplaces that are safe, comfortable, and efficient, which turn improves employees' well-being. Additionally, this chapter explains how the health and happiness of employees are connected to the quality of service they provide. A health and well-supported staff is more likely to deliver great guest experience, leading to satisfied and loyal customers. By using ergonomic principles and smart facility planning. Hospitality and tourism businesses can create a better work environment for their employees and guests. As we explore job demands, health, and well-being in this chapter, we will provide practical tips and suggestions for improving workplace ergonomics in the hospitality and tourism industries. By focusing on the well-being of their employees, businesses can not only work more efficiently but also build a positive and thriving workplace culture. Job demands. The hospitality and tourism industry create an exciting workplace. No experience is the same, both for the guests and the staff. People will encounter different scenarios every single day. So there are 4 major categories in the hospitality and tourism industry as discussed in the previous chapter. So first one is accommodation and lodging. Second one is food and beverage. Third one is travel and tours. And last one is entertainment. So the first one is accommodation and lodging. The general job description in accommodation and lodging category are as follows. First one, guest service representatives or concierge staff. Second one is hotel lodging managers. And lastly, housekeeping supervisor and staff. So the guest service representative or concierge staff. Guest service representative, often referred to as concierge staff, play a crucial role in hospitality industry. They are the friendly faces that greet guests upon arrival and the helpful hands that ensure a pleasant stay. Their primary responsibilities include checking guests in and out, answering inquiries, making reservation, and providing information about the hotel and local attraction. Concierge staff go above and beyond to meet guests' needs, offering personal services such as arranging transportation, booking tours, and securing tickets to events. They are knowledgeable about the area and can offer recommendations for dining, entertainment, and sightseeing. With their exceptional customer service skills, guest service representatives help create a welcoming and memorable experience for every guest. Second one is hotel lodging managers. Hotel or lodging managers oversee the daily operation of the hotel, resort, and other accommodation facilities. Their key responsibilities include managing staff, ensuring high standard of guest service, and maintaining the property. They handle budgeting, financial management, and marketing strategies to attract guests and maximize profitability. These managers ensure that all departments such as housekeeping, front desk, and maintenance work seamlessly together. They address guest complaints and requests, aiming to provide a pleasant and trouble-free stay for every guest. With their leadership and organizational skills, hotel and lodging managers play a vital role in delivering a high-quality hospitality experience. So lastly, for accommodation and lodging, housekeeping supervisor and staff. Housekeeping supervisor and staff are essential to maintaining cleanliness and comfort of hotel and other lodging facilities. Housekeeping and staff are responsible for cleaning guest rooms, public areas, back of the house spaces. They ensure that rooms are tidy, beds are made, and amenities restocked, providing a welcoming environment for guests. Housekeeping supervisor oversee the housekeeping team, manage schedules, and inspect room to ensure they meet the hotel standards. They train new employees addressing any issue or complaints and ensuring that cleaning supplies and equipment are available and in good conditions. Together, housekeeping supervisor and staff ensure that guests enjoy a clean, comfortable, and pleasant stay. So next one, we will discuss about food and beverage. So food and beverage can be a standalone facility or integrated with an accommodation or lodging facility such as hotel and resort. The job in these categories include FOH staff, banquet staff. In the dining halls, there are separate set of workforce such as receptionists, bus boys, bus girls, waitress and waitresses, bartenders. So FOH staff of front of the house staff are frontline employees who interact directly with the guest. In hospitality establishments like hotel, restaurant, and resorts, their primary role includes greeting guests, managing reservation, taking orders, serving food and beverage, and providing information about the establishment and its services. FOH staff work to ensure a positive and memorable experience for guests by delivering exceptional customer service. They handle guest inquiries to solve any issues or complaints and maintaining a welcoming and efficient atmosphere. With their friendly demeanor and professional skills, FOH staff play a crucial role in creating a positive impression and enhancing overall guest satisfaction. Next one for food and beverage, banquet staff. So banquet staff are essential in organizing and executing events such as wedding, conference, and parties at hotels, resort, and event venues. Their primary responsibility includes setting up banquet rooms according to the specification, serving food and beverage, and ensuring that guests have a pleasant and seamless experience. Banquet staff work closely with event planners and kitchen staff to coordinate timing and service. They are skilled in handling large group, maintaining a high level of customer service, and addressing any guest needs or concern prominently. With their attention to detail and efficient service, banquet staff contribute significantly to the success of special events and gatherings. So the kitchen personnel are headed by a chef who is given the title executive or head. Under the head chef's leadership are the following. So sous chef. Sous chef are crucial member of the kitchen team in restaurant, hotel, and other culinary establishment. Working under the head chef, they oversee the day-to-day operation of the kitchen, ensuring that food is prepared and presented to high standards of quality and consistency. Sous chefs are coordinate with kitchen staff, assign tasks, and supervise cooking process to meet service deadlines. They are responsible for menu planning, food preparation, and maintaining kitchen hygiene and safety standards. Additionally, sous chefs often contribute recipe development, inventory management, and cost control measuring with the kitchen. With their culinary experience, leadership, skills, and ability to work under pressure, sous chefs play a vital role in ensuring smooth kitchen operation and delivering exceptional dining experience to the guests. Next is chef de partie. A chef de partie, also known as station chef or line cook, is a skilled chef responsible for a specific section of the kitchen. They work under the supervision of the sous chef or head chef, focusing on preparing and cooking food according to the restaurant recipe and standards. Chef de partie roles are specialized, such as pastry chef, grilled cook, or sous chef. Each chef de partie specializes in their station, making sure dishes are cooked correctly and look great. They also supervise the kitchen assistant and commis chef on their station, teaching them cooking techniques and keeping the kitchen clean and organized. Chef de partie needs good cooking skills, attention to details, and the ability to work fast in a busy kitchen. In short, chef de partie is essential in the kitchen team, making sure dishes are prepared while the kitchen runs smoothly. So next one is expeditor. An expeditor, also known as a kitchen expeditor or expo, is a key person in the kitchen who ensure that dishes are prepared and served correctly and on time. They act as a link between the kitchen staff and the servers, making the orders are ready for serving. The expeditor's job involves coordinating when dishes should be cooked and making sure that each plate looks right before it goes to the diners. They work closely with the cooks and chef to manage the timing of the orders and solve any problem that come up during service. In addition to managing the kitchen piece, expeditors may also add final touches to the dishes, check that everything on the plate is correct and organized, how the plates are arranged for serving. They need to they need good organization skills, attention to details, and the ability to handle pressure to make sure guests have a smooth dining experience. Next one is line cook. A line cook is a kitchen staff member responsible for preparing food according to recipe and specific instructions. They work on the cook line where different dishes are prepared spontaneously during service. Line cooks handle tasks such as chopping vegetable, cooking meats, and assembling dishes. They follow recipe closely to ensure consistency and quality in the food served to customers. These cooks work under the supervision of the chef or sous chef, and they must be available to work quickly and efficiently, especially during busy times. Line cooks play a vital role in ensuring that meals are prepared prominently and meet the standards of the restaurant or the kitchen they work in. So lastly is kitchen helpers. Kitchen helpers are essential members of the kitchen staff who assist chef and cook in preparing and serving food. Their tasks include washing and peeling vegetables, cleaning work areas, and assisting with basic food preparation tasks like measuring ingredients. Kitchen helpers also handle non-cooking duties such as organizing supplies, stocking, shelving, and washing dishes. They support the smooth operation of the kitchen by ensuring that all the necessary ingredients and tools are readily available for the chef and cooks. These helpers work under the direction of more experienced kitchen staff and may also assist in plating dishes and delivering food to customer. Their role requires teamwork, attention to detail, and a willingness to take on a various task to maintaining kitchen cleanliness and efficiency. So in the dining hall are separate sets of workforce. So first one is the receptionist. Receptionists are the friendly faces you see when you enter an office, hotel, or other businesses. They greet visitor, answer phone calls, and help with appointment. Receptionists also handle paperwork like checking in the guests or scheduling meetings. Their job is to make sure everything runs smoothly in the front office and provide helpful information to guests and callers. So next one is busboy and busgirls. Busboys and busgirls, also known as bussers, are important members of restaurant staff who keep dining areas clean and organized. Their main tasks include clearing tables, cleaning dishes and utensils, and resetting tables for the next guest. They assist serve by removing used dishes, glasses, and silverware from the table after guests finish their meals. Busboys and busgirls are and also ensure that dining area are tidy and ready for new customers by wiping the tables, sweeping the floors, and helping to maintain cleanliness throughout the restaurant. Their role is crucial in providing a pleasant dining experience for our guests by keeping the dining area neat and ensuring efficient turnover of table. Busboys and busgirls work as part of a team under a supervision of restaurant management to support smooth and efficient restaurant operations. So next one is waiters and waitresses. Waiters and waitresses, commonly referred to as servers, are the friendly staff members who take care of customers in restaurant. Their main job is to greet guests, take their orders, serve food and drinks, and make sure customers have everything they need for a pleasant dining experience. Server also answer questions about the menu, recommend dishes, and handle payment transaction. They work closely with the kitchen staff to ensure orders are prepared correctly and delivered promptly to tables. Waitress and waitresses try to provide excellent customer service by being attentive, friendly, and knowledgeable about the restaurant offering. They play a key role in creating a positive atmosphere and ensuring guests enjoy their time at the restaurant. So lastly, bartenders. Bartenders are the skilled professionals who work behind the bar in restaurant, pubs, and bars. They prepare and serve drinks to customers such as cocktails, beers, and non-alcoholic beverage. Bartenders interact with guests, take drink order, and mix drinks according to the recipe or customer's preference. They also handle payments, maintaining cleanliness of the bar area, and ensure that customers have an enjoyable and safe experience. In addition to serving drinks, bartenders may also provide recommendations, create new cocktails, and engage with guests through enhancing their overall experience at the establishment. Bartenders need strong communication skill, a good memory for drink recipe, and the ability to work efficiently in a fast-paced environment. They are essential in creating a welcoming and entertaining atmosphere for patrons. Travel and tours category in the tourism and hospitality industry involve office workers in tour agency, tour guides, and incidental workforce in travel facilities such as airlines, cruise ship, trains, and land transportation. So the first one is travel consultant, second one is travel guide. Travel consultant. A travel consultant helps people plan and book their trips. They provide advice on destination, transportation options, accommodation, and activities. Travel consultant also handle bookings for flights, hotel, car rentals, and tours. They work closely with clients to understand their preference and budget, offering personal recommendation and itinerary suggestions. Travel consultants ensure that all travel arrangements meet their client needs and expectations. Additionally, travel consultants may provide information on the travel, insurance, visa requirements, and local customs to help clients prepare for their trip. They aim to make travel planning stress-free and enjoyable for their customers. So, the last one for travel and tours, travel guide. A travel guide is someone who leads and informs tourists during their travel. They provide insight and information about the attraction, historical sites, and cultural aspects of a destination. Travel guides accompany tourists on tours, sharing interesting facts, stories, and local knowledge to enhance the visitor experience. They ensure that tourists are informed about safety guidelines, local customs, and the best place to visit. Additionally, travel guides may arrange transportation, coordinate schedules, and handle logistics to ensure a smooth and enjoyable journey for their clients. In short, travel guides play a vital role in making sure tourists have a memorable and informative experience while exploring new destinations. Lastly, entertainment. Entertainment and recreation facility would have a very similar workforce with food and beverage facility. The management and office workers are standard in most, if not all, organizations. Listed are personnel specific in the entertainment and recreation facility. So first one we have artists and performers, ticketing staff, ushers and recreation attendants, security guards and bouncers. Lastly is media and communication workers. So artists and performers. Artists and performers are creative individuals who entertain and inspire audience through various forms of art and expression. They may include musicians, actors, dancers, painters, sculpture, and more. These individuals use their talents to create artwork, music, dance routines, or theatrical performance to evoke emotions and convey message. Artists perform often showcase their work in galleries, theater, concert hall, or public spaces. They may collaborate with other artists, participate in exhibition or performance, and engage with audience to share their creative vision, passion to their craft. In short, artists and performers enrich society by sharing their creative and talent, bringing joy, reflection, and cultural enhancement to audience worldwide. In addition to sales, ticketing staff ensure the ticketing system are updated accurately and that customer information is managed clearly. They plan a crucial role in ensuring smooth and organized ticketing operation for various events and service. Overall, ticketing staff provide essential customer service by facilitating ticket purchase and reservation, helping people access their desired event or travel arrangement conveniently. So third one is ushers and recreation. So third one is ushers and recreation attendants assist and guide people during event, performance, or recreational activities. They ensure that guests have a smooth and enjoyable experience by providing assistance and information. Ushers help guests find their seat, distribute program or materials, and handle any immediate needs or concern during event. They also maintain order and ensure safety in the venue. Recreation attendants facilitate recreational activity and assess participants in sports centers, parks, or community events. They may organize equipment, oversee activities, and ensure that participants follow rules for safety and enjoyment. Recreation attendants facilitate recreational activities and assist participants in sports center, parks, and community events. They may organize equipment, oversee activities, and ensure that participants follow rules, safety, and enjoyment. Both usher and recreational attendants play a crucial role in customer serving, helping Both usher and recreational attendants play a crucial role in customer service, helping to create a positive and organized environment for guests and participants alike. So next one is security guards and bouncers. So security guards and bouncers are responsible for maintaining safety and order in various settings such as club, events, or private properties. They protect people, property, and enforce rules to ensure a secure environment. Security guards protocol design areas to prevent theft, vandalism, and unauthorized access. They may monitor surveillance equipment, inspect premises for potential security breaches, and response to alarm or disturbance. Bouncer work in venues like bars and clubs to manage crowd control and maintain a safe atmosphere. They check identification, enforce entry policies, and handle conflicts or disruptive behavior among the patrons. Both security guard and bouncer play a crucial role in maintaining peace and security, providing a visible presence to deter misconduct. Both security guards and bouncers play a critical role in maintaining peace and security, providing a visible presence to deter misconduct and ensure the well-being of individuals and property in their care. So lastly, media and communication workers. Media and communication workers are professionals who create and deliver information to the public through various channels. They include journalists, reporters, editors, broadcasters, social media managers, and public relations specialists. These individuals gather news, conducted interview, and written articles or reports for newspaper, magazine, website, or broadcast media. They use their writing, editing, and storytelling skills to inform and engage audience on the current event and issue. Media and communication workers also manage social media platforms, create content, and interact with followers to promote organization or individual. They may also handle media relationship, crafting press. Media and communication workers also manage social media platforms, create content, and interact with followers to promote organizations or individual. They may also handle media relations, crafting press releasing, and coordinating interviews to maintain public image and manage information dissemination. In summary, media and communication workers play a vital role in informing the public, shaping opinions, and maintaining communication between organizations and their audience through various media platforms. So, ticketing staff. Ticketing staff are the professionals who handle ticket sales and reservation for events, transportation, or attraction. They assist customer by providing information on tickets, prices, availability, and seating options. Ticketing staff provide taking orders, payment, and refund efficiently. They also issue boarding passes, confirm reservation, and help customers with any inquiries or issue related to their ticket. In addition to sales, ticketing staff ensure the ticketing system are updated accurately and the customer information is managed securely. They plan a crucial role in ensuring smooth and organized ticketing operation for various events and service. Overall, ticketing staff provide essential customer service by facilitating ticket purchase and reservation, helping people access their desired event or travel arrangement conveniently. So third one is ushers and recreation. So third one is ushers and recreation attendants assist and guide people during event, performance, or recreational activities. They ensure that guests have a smooth and enjoyable experience by providing assistance and information. Ushers help guests find their seat, distribute program or materials, and handle any immediate needs or concern during event. They also maintain order and ensure safety in the venue. Recreation attendants facilitate recreational activities and assist participants in sports center, parks, and community events. They may organize equipment, oversee activities, and ensure that participants follow rules, safety, and enjoyment. Both usher and recreational attendants play a crucial role in customer service, helping to create a positive and organized environment for guests and participants alike. So next one is security guards and bouncers. So security guards and bouncers are responsible for maintaining safety and order in various settings such as club, events, or private properties. They protect people, property, and enforce rules to ensure a secure environment. Security guards protocol design areas to prevent theft, vandalism, and unauthorized access. They may monitor surveillance equipment, inspect premises for potential security breaches, and response to alarm or disturbance. Bouncer work in venues like bars and clubs to manage crowd control and maintain a safe atmosphere. They check identification, enforce entry policies, and handle conflicts or disruptive behavior among the patrons. Both security guards and bouncers play a critical role in maintaining peace and security, providing a visible presence to deter misconduct and ensure the well-being of individuals and property in their care. So lastly, media and communication workers. Media and communication workers are professionals who create and deliver information to the public through various channels. They include journalists, reporters, editors, broadcasters, social media managers, and public relations specialists. These individuals gather news, conducted interview, and written articles or reports for newspaper, magazine, website, or broadcast media. They use their writing, editing, and storytelling skills to inform and engage audience on the current event and issue. Media and communication workers also manage social media platforms, create content, and interact with followers to promote organizations or individuals. They may also handle media relations, crafting press releasing, and coordinating interviews to maintain public image and manage information dissemination. In summary, media and communication workers play a vital role in informing the public, shaping opinions, and maintaining communication between organizations and their audience through various media platforms. To protect our workers, we have the Labor Code of the Philippines. The Labor Code of the Philippines applies to hospitality and tourism workers, just as it does to workers in other industries, providing regulation and protection specific to their roles and working condition. Here are some key mandates of the Labor Code relevant to hospitality and tourism workers. So, number 1, employment contracts. The Labor Code mandates that all employees, including those in hospitality and tourism, must have a written employment contract specifying terms such as job description, wage, benefits, working hours, and condition of employment. Number 2, minimum wage and benefit. It sets minimum wage rate applicable to different regions and sector, ensuring that hospitality and tourism workers receive fair compensation for their service. The code also mandates benefits such as holiday pay, overtime pay, and rest periods. Number 3, working hours and rest periods. The code stipulates maximum working hours per week and requires employers to provide rest periods and breaks during shifts to ensure the well-being and safety of workers. Number 4, occupational safety and health. It mandates employers to provide a safe and healthy work environment for hospitality and tourism workers, including compliance with safety standards, provision of necessary safety equipment, and training on occupational hazards. Number 5, social security and benefits. The Labor Code requires employers to contribute to social security systems such as the Social Security System, SSS, and the Philippine Health Insurance Corporation, PhilHealth, ensuring workers have access to healthcare and retirement benefits. Number 6, rights to organize and collective bargain. Hospitality and tourism workers have the right to form or join trade union and engage in collective bargaining for better wage, benefit, and working condition as protected by the Labor Code. Number 7, termination and surveillance pay. It outlines procedures and grounds for termination in employment, including due process requirements and mandates, payment of surveillance pay of benefits to terminated employees. 8. Special provision. The code includes specific provision for certain category of workers within hospitality and tourism, such as guideline for domestic workers, overseas Filipino workers or OFWs, and employments in establishment with hazardous condition. Overall, the Labor Code of the Philippines aims to protect the rights of hospitality and tourism workers, ensure fair treatment and compensation, promote safe and working conditions, and fostering harmonious labor relationship within the industry. Compliance with this mandate is overseen and enforced by the Department of Labor and Employment, or DOLE, and other relevant agency to uphold labor standards across all sectors of the economy. So lastly, for Chapter 5, Health and Well-being. So we have sick building syndrome, or SBS, refers to a condition where building occupants experience acute health effects or discomfort that are linked to spending time in a particular building, but no specific illness or cause can be identified. It typically occurs in office buildings, schools, and other indoor environments. So key feature of sick building syndrome include, number 1, symptoms. People affected by SBS may experience a variety of non-specific symptoms such as headache, dizziness, nausea, fatigue, irritability, dry or itchy skin, and difficult concentrating. These symptoms often improve or disappear when individuals leave the building. Number 2, potential causes. SBS is believed to be caused by a combination of factors related to indoor quality, environment condition, and building design. Common factors include poor ventilation, inadequate humidity levels, indoor pollutants such as volatile organic compounds from building materials, cleaning agent, and furniture, biological contaminants such as mold and bacteria, and inadequate lighting or ergonomics. Number 3, diagnosis. Diagnosis of SBS is based on the presence of symptoms among a significant number of building occupants which cannot be traced to specific illnesses or condition. Medical evaluation may rule out other potential causes of symptoms. Prevention and management. Preventing SBS involves addressing potential indoor environmental factors through proper building maintenance, regular cleaning, adequate ventilation, control of humidity levels, and use of low-emission building materials, furnishing effective communication between building occupants, and manage is also crucial to identify and addressing concern prominently. Number 5, regular and standards. Various countries and other organizations have established guidelines and standards for indoor air quality and building design to prevent SBS and promote health indoor environments. Compliance with these standards can help mitigate potential risks associated with indoor pollutants and environmental factors. Overall, sick building syndrome, or SBS, underscore the importance of maintaining a healthy indoor environment to protect the well-being and productivity of building occupants, addressing potential causes and implementing preventive measures can contribute to creating a comfortable and safe indoor space for everyone. So number 1, proper planning and design. A well-planned workplace minimizes and may eliminate hazard in the facility. It is a collaborative endeavor by architects, interior designers, engineers, contractors, owners, and stakeholders. There are 3 tenets of a good designs, or beauty, utility, and strength. The principle of beauty is relative. However, specific architectural designs have developed standard through the different elements discussed in the previous chapters. Strength and durability are achieved through the proper and correct structural design components of a robust and sturdy structured utility is achieved by end motion studies done in units to determine the delivery of goods and service with quality set by the establishment, provision on the correct size of working areas, ventilations, proper lighting, ergonomically correct work tables and surface, identifiable entrance and exit for proper materials on floors, walls, ceilings, and the provision of suitable furniture, fixtures, and equipment are considered in providing a safe workplace in an industry. So we have here a chart kung saan pinapakita yung proper planning. So the first one is Venustas, pure creativity and smart design. Venustas means combining pure creativity with smart design to create a beautiful and functional space or products. It's about using imagination and clever ideas to make things that not only look great, but also work well. In any project, whether it's designing a building, a piece of furniture, or an event, Venustas focus on making sure the final result is both attractive and practical. It's the blend of art, usability, ensuring that everything is pleasing to the eye and serve its purpose effectively. Simply, but Venustas is about creating with both beauty and intelligence. So next one is Utilitas, open management and clear communication. Utilitas means having an open management and clear communication in project or organization. It focuses on making sure everyone knows what is happening and can easily share ideas and information. In practice, this means managers are transparent and approachable and everyone works together smoothly. Clear works together smoothly, clear communication, ensuring that the tasks are understood, questions are answered, and problems are solved quickly. Utilitas help create a well-organized and effective environment where everyone is on the same page and can contribute their best. So lastly, Firmitas, effective administration and up-to-date knowledge. Firmitas means having a strong and effective management along with current knowledge that focus on running things smoothly and making sure everyone has the latest information. In practice, this means being organized, managing resources well, and staying informed about new development and the best practices. Efficient administration, ensuring that everything runs smoothly and up to date. Knowledge help in making smart decisions. Firmitas create a stable and reliable environment where things are managed well and everyone is informed effectively. So the other part of proper planning and design. First one is an adequate work area. So an adequate work area is a space that is comfortable and well suited for doing tasks. It has enough room to move around, the right furniture, and good lighting. This type of workspace helps people work efficiently and safely. It includes everything needed to the job, like tools, equipment, and supplies, all arranged in a particular way. So an adequate work area is a well-organized, comfortable space where people can work effectively and comfortably. Next one is ventilation. So ventilation is about moving fresh air into a space and taking stale air out. It helps keep the air inside clean and healthy. Good ventilation means there are systems or windows that allow fresh air to flow in and old air to flow out. This helps remove bad smells, moisture, and pollutants, making the space more comfortable and safe to breathe in. So ventilation keeps the air fresh and clean inside a room or a building. So next one is lighting. Lighting in a workplace means having enough light so people can see clearly and work comfortably. Good lighting helps reduce eye strain and keep people focused and productive. This can include natural light from the window or artificial light from lamps or overhead lights. It's important to have the right amount of light to avoid glare or shadow. Good lighting in a workspace makes it easier to see and work well. So next one is wayfinding. Wayfinding means helping people find their way around a place easily. It includes signs, maps, and direction that guide people to where they need to go. Good wayfinding makes it simple to navigate buildings, streets, or large areas without getting lost. It ensures that the signs are clear, visible, and easy to understand. Wayfinding helps people move around the space easily and confidently. So fire protection. Fire protection means keeping people and buildings safe from fires. It includes equipment and measures to prevent fires and to help put them quickly if they start. This can include smoke detectors, fire alarms, sprinklers, fire extinguisher, and clear emergency exit, regular checks and maintenance, ensuring everything works properly. Fire protection helps prevent fires and keep people safe if a fire happens. Electrical standard. Electrical standard are rules to make sure electrical systems are safe and work well. They cover how to install and use electrical wirings, outlet, and device. These standards help prevent electrical fire shocks and other hazards. They ensure that all electrical work is done correctly and safe. Electrical standards keep electrical system safe and reliable. So structural integrity. Structural integrity means that a building or structure is strong and stable. It ensures that the building can support its weight and withstand force like wind, earthquake, and heavy use. This involves using the right materials and construction methods to keep structure safe and sound over time. Structural integrity means a building is built well and will stay strong and safe. So temperature and ventilation in a hotel establishment mean keeping a room and common areas comfortable and well aired. This includes using heating and cooling system to maintain and the right temperature and ensuring proper ventilation to bring fresh air and remove stale air. Proper temperature control helps guests sleep well, relax, and enjoy their stay. Good ventilation keeps the air clean and healthy, reducing odors or humidity. In short, maintaining the right temperature and good ventilation in a hotel ensure guest comfort and a pleasant environment. Ideally, the temperature should be set at 20 to 24 Celsius. So materials refer to the items and substance used in building and furnishing space. In the context of hospitality and tourism, choosing the right materials is important for safety and comfort and durability. These materials can include flooring, walls, furniture, and fixtures. They should be strong, easy to clean, and suitable for the environment. Using high-quality materials help create a pleasant and long-lasting space for guests. In short, materials are the building blocks that make a safe, comfortable, and durable space in hospitality and tourism establishments. So lastly, furniture, fixtures, and equipment. Furniture, fixtures, and equipment are the items used to finish and equip a space in a hotel and establishment. This includes chairs, tables, bed, lights, and kitchen appliances. These items should be comfortable, functional, and durable to ensure a good experience for guests. High-quality furniture equipped help create a welcoming and efficient environment. In short, furniture, fixtures, and equipment are essential items that make a space comfortable and useful for the guest. So number 2, safety signs. So safety signs are signs that give important information to keep people safe. They show warnings, instruction, and direction to prevent accident and emergencies. These signs include exit signs, fire escape, routes, hazard warnings, and instruction for using safety equipment. They are placed in visible areas where people can easily see them. Safety signs provide crucial information to help people stay safe and avoid danger. So third one is proper apparel. Proper apparel means wearing the right clothes for a job or activity. In hospitality and tourism, this includes uniform or specific outfit that are comfortable, practical, and suitable for the work environment. These clothes help employees look professional and stay safe while doing their tasks. Proper apparel can also include protective gear like gloves or aprons to prevent injuries. Proper apparel ensures employees are dressed appropriately for their job, helping them work safely and look professional. So number 4, clear guidelines and protocols. So checklist. So checklist is a sample of list of tasks or items that needed to be done or check. It helps make sure nothing is forgotten and everything gets done correctly. Checklists are useful in many situations like preparing for an event, cleaning rooms, or doing safety inspections. They provide an easy way to organize and keep track of progress. A checklist helps people remember and complete all necessary tasks in an organized way. So healthy and safety protocols. Healthy and safety protocols are rules and procedures to keep everyone safe and healthy. They include guidelines or hygiene, emergency actions, and safety practices. These protocols help prevent accident and illness by ensuring that everyone knows how to stay safe and what to do in case of an emergency. Health and safety protocols are important rules that protect people's health and safety at work or in public places. Control and prevention, the facility should adopt a stringent infection control strategy that is based on the hazard analysis and assessment conducted by the administration. As a rule, the World Health Organization or WHO has provided the following guidelines. Number 1, wash hands as frequently as possible with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. If soap and clear running water are not available, alcohol-based hand sanitizer can be used. Number 2, refrain from touching the eyes, nose, and mouth. Number 3, when sneezing and coughing, cover your mouth with tissue paper and dispose of the tissue paper properly. If tissue paper is not available, sneeze or cough into the elbows and not to the hands. Hospitality and tourism facilities should provide a wash basin at the nearest possible area before or after the entrance. The wash basin can be sensor activated or manually operated using a pedal or the knee. Soap, running water, and hand dryer should be available in the wash area. First aid requirements. The organization should have the first aid kits accessible to everyone, especially in the workplace that are at a higher risk. Aside from the safety officer, all workers should have an acceptable level of training from health organization. Food handling and storage. The administration should prepare a concentrate protocol on food purchasing, storage preparation, towing, cooking, serving, and disposal. Next one is general cleaning and sanitation. In creating a general cleaning sanitation protocol, it is imperative to evaluate the workplace to develop a concentrate work plan. It should include what area need to be cleaned and frequently and process of the cleaning. There is also a need to identify what should be disinfected and how often. So in developing a checklist, the following components should be considered. Number 1, the object of the checklist should be clear. Number 2, all needed items should be included no matter how mundane it seems to be. Number 3, critical points should be identified and provided emphasis. Number 4, the list should be logical and rational. So we have here an example of a checklist. So first, we have the general. And for example, floors are clean, so yes or no. Then remarks. Sleepily floors, sign is presented. Aisles are tidy, stairways are lightened, furniture is secured. So kalimitan ng nag-check nito is housekeeping department. So sa surroundings and ventilation is good, temperature, housekeeping department pa rin yan. Lahat ng checklist ay may kanya-kanya ding department na nakatoka kung sinong mag-check. So, kagaya nito sa safety bulletin, yung mga notices, health and safety in the workplace, stop discrimination and sexual harassment, report violence, and any kind of abuse. Ang nagche-check naman nito, nag-update SHR. So, fire and safety protocols mechanism, yung mga emergency lighting, emergency bulbs are tested, certified by annual inspection. Yung mga ganito, yung mga portable fire extinguisher, ang mga nag-check naman nito is engineering team. So, sa hygiene and first aid naman, kadalasang nag-check nito sa hygiene and first aid is meron silang syempreng nursing station, materials handling and storage, yung sa mga hazardous substance. Kalimitan sa mga big hotels, especially yung mga big hotels, ang nag-check nun is meron silang hygienist. So that's all for chapter 5. Chapter 6 will be presented by Ma Charlene Manga.
Okay, so hello po, ako si Maria Charlemagne Manga, and I'm here to present the Chapter 6, Site Selection. Introduction. Location is a crucial factor in a person's choice of where to live, work, and build his or her business. The location of a business is significant in the success of its operation and determines the overall growth of the trade. The choice of the site provides the necessary platform to launch the brand of the facility or to validate and sustain their existing trademark. The consideration in setting up facilities for the industry of hospitality and tourism involves several processes and considerations, which we're gonna discuss in this chapter. Now, for the chapter objectives, at the end of the chapter, the students will be able to discuss the importance of location in the hospitality and tourism industry and to enumerate the different criteria for site selection of hospitality and tourism facilities. Now, we have the general criteria for site selection. We have 5, and those are location, site, building, the cost of construction or renovation, and the legal issues and restrictions. So ito daw po yung general criteria when selecting a site. The first one is location. The location of the facility is one of the top criteria of travelers when choosing their accommodation, whether for business or recreation. This refers to a larger sphere of influence than that of the facilities. The context can be a district, city or municipality, region, or even bigger depending on the impact of the facility. When choosing a location, the concept of the facility dictates the specific criteria for location. It is important to check the demand generators. So ano nga po ba itong demand generators na to? Demand generation is a process or a program that creates a relationship between the facility and the clients and hopefully develops a long-term engagement. Demand generators for hospitality and tourism industries include business areas, industrial parks, tourist attractions, and institutional facilities such as schools, government centers, and hospitals. Example of this is a business hotel sets criteria for allocation based on the proximity to transport hubs and the central business districts. Next, we have the site. The site of the project refers to both contextual and the physical manifestation of the area. The context of the area refers to the environment of the location. This includes the zoning of the area, the characteristics of the landscapes, the quality of the open spaces, and the built environment. This also includes the following concerns. And tatlo po yun. Those are access to transportation, access to utilities, and the land area. First, first concern is access to transportation. This pertains to the services of the movement of goods, services, and people. Access to transportation allows ease of mobility for a greater majority. The provision of public transport is a criterion that should be considered in selecting a site for a facility. In determining accessibility, the amount of time spent from the origin to the destination and the number of transfers from a transportation hub to another must be reviewed. So, for example, gusto mo pong magtayo ng isang restaurant. Siyempre, hahanap ka po ng isang site na may access to transportation. Kasi isa na rin po dun yung transportation of ingredients, packaging, and other goods na kailangan mo po sa operation ng restaurant mo. And then another thing is, kung hindi po siya accessible sa mga tao, eh wala rin pong pupunta sa restaurant. Kaya access to transportation is one of the concerns talaga. Access to transportation is one of the factors na dapat po talagang i-consider when choosing a site. And then the second concern under the category of site is access to utilities. The provision of public utilities such as potable water, electricity, telephone, and internet service is a determinant in identifying a suitable site for facilities. However, there can be an exception if the concept of the project is to focus on off-grid sources of energy. The facility can use alternative sources such as solar panels, wind turbines, hydroelectric, and similar alternative sources of energy. And one example of this is yung ating business hotels, where yung kanilang target market po at clientele ay mostly business travelers. So, kailangan po talaga nila ng electricity and internet service kasi yun po yung necessity or yung palaging hinahanap ng kanilang mga clients, di ba? So, yun po. Then, land area. The size of the lot is dictated by the kind of facilities and the concept of the project. In some cases, the owners would consider modular development in the expansion of the facilities. This can be determined with the help of professionals of the built environment and other stakeholders. So, what kind of facilities po ba yung itatayo mo? Anong concept nga po ba nung project? Tatayo mo? Kailangan po ba niya ng malaking land area or sapat na yung maliit-liit lang? Ganun po. Yun po yung land area. Next, we have building. In cases when a facility of the hospitality and tourism industry would choose a location inside a complex or a building, they must consider the concept of the development. There are specific architectural designs and images of a facility that a certain group of people would gravitate to and patronize. The young will be more inclined to go to bars with music and freestyle dancing, while more mature groups are predisposed to structured ballroom dancing. So an example of this is sa SM Calamba po, when it comes to entertainment, ang mga kabataan po natin ay mas gustong pumunta sa arcades like Tom's World and Quantum. While yung older generation naman po, ang kanilang mas gustong puntahan ay yung bingo area po dun sa third floor sa dating place po ng Wonder Park. So, ayun po, magkaiba po kasi ng taste ang ating kabataan at ang mga older generations. Next criterion is the cost of construction or renovation. The decision of whether to build a new structure or renovate an existing space or building becomes very difficult when there are no variables to compare with. It is important to lay down the pros and cons of building and renovation. Some of the issues to consider are the following. We have four, and those are the extent of the renovation in order to achieve the concept of the facility, the cost of long-term and short-term construction, structural integrity, and new construction. Number one po ay yung the extent of the renovation in order to achieve the concept of the facility. There might be a need to update and upgrade the utility systems, such as water lines, sewage, electrical systems, and internet connection to address building code issues and adhere to the concept. Number two, the cost of long-term and short-term construction. Renovating a structure while in operation would take a longer time than constructing in a vacant space. The time would also add up to the cost and the possible revenue if the facility is in full operation. So yan, sabi po, renovating a structure while in operation ay mas magtatagal kaysa sa constructing a new building or establishment in a vacant space. So, dapat din po yung i-consider when constructing or renovating. Then, the third is structural integrity. The structural integrity of the building will play a big part in the construction cost if there is retrofitting to be done in order to carry additional load. If the building holds historical value to the community, changing its use and appearance might have an impact on the facility's acceptance in the community. So one example I can think of here po is yung bahay ni Rizal dito sa Calamba po. Marami na pong renovations ang nangyari dun sa bahay ni Rizal, kaya hindi na po siya kasing authentic kagaya nung dati, syempre po. Pero para na rin po kasi yun sa preservation ng bahay. Kaya siguro need talagang gawin. And then, fourth is new construction. Building from scratch might cost more, but it is more efficient in terms of layout because it is designed for its purpose. The cost of maintenance can be lower because of the use of new systems and materials. The possibilities of design are endless in creating the brand for the structure. Next are the legal issues and restrictions. It is important to know the legal restrictions of the site being considered. Zoning of the site will determine whether the area is appropriate for the proposed facilities. In a planned unit development such as Bonifacio Global City, Asiana, and Rockwell, to name a few, there are specific designs and deeds of restrictions that the designers need to follow before even applying for a permit from the city or municipality. As a rule, the Comprehensive Land Use Plan, or the CLUP, of the city or municipality dictates the development to monitor the rational use of the land to ensure sustainable growth and development. The city or municipality should identify the land use zones in accordance with the CLUP. For proper identification, the specific areas are marked as R for residential districts, C for commercial districts, and I for industrial districts. Zoning ordinances regulate the land use and building height restrictions. It is important to know po yung mga ordinances, legal issues, and restrictions kasi sila po yung magde-determine kung yung area po ay appropriate dun po sa proposed facilities na gusto nating itayo. So now we'll go on to the next part, which is creating a brand through site selection. The brand of the business affects the determination of the location. The location of the facility is not limited to clients, patrons, and guests gravitating to the establishment. It should also consider the sources of resources, such as supply of goods and manpower. The brand works hand in hand with the vibe and reputation of the location and the ambience of its architecture to promote an overall experience. A facility can be standalone in its own site or in a building or part of a development complex. In the determination of a possible location of an establishment, there is a collaboration with a multidiscipline team. The establishment may also adapt to the environment without compromising its brand and concept. So, yes, it is very important po to consider your brand or the concept of your facility when selecting a site. Kasi dapat po yung vibe and the ambience po ng location is tugma dun sa facility nyo. The next, we have the site criteria by major sectors of the hospitality and tourism industry. Itong apat na daw po ito, sila yung major sectors ng ating industriya. The first is accommodation and lodging. Second, food and beverage. Third, travel and tourism offices. And fourth, entertainment and recreation. Accommodation and lodging. In the hospitality and tourism industry, accommodation and lodging. In the hospitality and tourism industry, accommodation and lodging pertain to a place that provides shelter for a guest to stay and sleep for a certain period of time. It can encompass a wide range of services and activities, which can include food service, business centers, shopping areas, convention centers, and recreation. There are general criteria in identifying a site for a specific type of accommodation. Now, under accommodation and lodging, we have hotels, resort hotel, bed and breakfast, and condotels. So first, the hotels. Generally, hotels are classified in terms of size, clientele base, and target markets, level of service and ownership, and affiliations. Hotels are usually found in high-density cities that are near airports. Inland countries with an established train system that crosses borders also host major business hotels. And then next, the resort hotel. This type of hotel is classified differently from the previously mentioned hotel accommodations because of its location. The primary clientele for this type of accommodation are vacationers. These hotels are, more often than not, located near natural resources and sceneries, such as beaches, lakes, and mountain ranges. In temperate countries, most resort hotels are operated on a seasonal basis, especially those whose services evolve based on the season. However, there are also resort hotels that cross the line of mixing rest and relaxation with business by incorporating facilities such as convention centers. Next, the bed and breakfast. These types of accommodations are usually family and guest houses that are converted to accommodate not more than 10 rooms. Usually, they have shared bathroom facilities and the only available meal served is breakfast. Bed and breakfast accommodations are normally located in areas with historical interest. Guest houses, inns, and farmhouses may also be classified under this category. They are relatively small and sometimes share the facilities with the owner who lives in the same building or area. And then the condotel. This type of accommodation is intertwined with condominiums that allow guests to prepare their own meals with housekeeping services for linens and room cleaning. The site is usually near business districts and commercial establishments. So for the next slide, we have accommodation and lodging examples, real life examples dito po sa Philippines. First, we have Okada Manila, which is a 5-star hotel. Next is the Pearl Farm Beach Resort in Davao City, and it is a resort hotel. Sonia's Garden naman po is a bed and breakfast in Cavite. And then DMCI Homes is a condotel in Quezon City. So yung Okada Manila and DMCI Homes po are near business districts and commercial establishments. Gawa na rin po siguro ng kanilang clientele base and target markets, which are yung business travelers or yung ating working class po. Then yung Pearl Farm Beach Resort is very suitable po sa ating definition nga po ng isang resort hotel, which is located near natural resources and sceneries such as beaches, lakes, and mountain ranges. And ang kanilang clientele base sa target market po ay usually vacationers. Yung Sonia's Garden naman po ay bed and breakfast. Nabasa ko po na private property po talaga to ng owner. And then they opened their doors po sa mga tao. Now they're serving bed and breakfast po for years now. Then next, we have the food and beverage. The food and beverage component of the hospitality industry accounts for the biggest segment in this line of business. The three general classifications are the fast food concessionaires, high-end restaurants and bars, and catering establishments. First, we have the fast food concessionaires. Fast food concessionaires are mostly located in high-density areas, such as inside malls and near offices, schools, and zones with heavy foot and vehicular traffic. Yung high-end restaurants naman po can be seen in 5-star hotels as part of their amenities. Standalone restaurants would focus on finding a location that would complement and supplement the brand and concept of the establishment. Catering establishments. In determining the location of the commissary of the catering service, the proximity of the possible clientele must be established. There are maximum distances that a caterer can provide delivery for their services. Although there are refrigerated vans, the quality of food is still a major consideration. The proximity of the commissary of caterers that provide food for airlines and cruise ships is a primary concern kasi nga po ang airlines and cruise ships ay constantly on the way po, di ba? Then here we have an example of fast food concessionaires po. Itong picture po sa left is yung stand-alone branch of Jollibee Burgos Street Vegan. It features elements of traditional Filipino architecture. Kasi as we all know, Vegan City po is na-preserve po nila yung architectural design ng Spanish colonial period po natin. So, yung Jollibee po, Jollibee Burgos Street Vegan ay nag-adapt po sa architectural design ng Vegan City. Next, we have Jollibee at SM Mall of Asia. So, yung Jollibee branch po niya ay nasa loob po ng mall. For the high-end restaurants, we have Caviar Restaurant and Champagne Bar, a French fine dining restaurant located po sa Westgate, Alabang. And personally, nakita ko po ito in person one night when me and my friends were strolling around Westgate. And I can say na yung ambience po talaga ng lugar is very luxurious and for high-end people. Then the picture on the right is the Blackbird in Makati Nilsson Tower. Also a fine dining restaurant. And then for the catering establishments, we have Idea Concepto Events and Management. Ang address po nila is sa Cuyab National Highway, Bukal, Calamba, Philippines. Actually, yung isa po sa aking mga kaklase ay nagtatrabaho po dito kaya natuklasan ko po yung service nila. They provide catering and banquet services as we can see in the picture. Yan po, they provide catering, food, pati na rin po yung setup ng venue. And according to my classmate po, ang kanilang focus po or main target market ay Kalamba. Pero kaya po nilang mag-serve outside Kalamba, like Manila. Yun po. Next, we have the travel and tourism offices. Travel agencies are normally located in airports, seaports, and malls with heavy tourist visitors. There are also instances that they are attached to hotels and tourist destinations. And then, what we can see from the presentation is yung AC Travel and Tours po sa SM City Calamba. Ayun po, inside the mall siya. Tapos itong Rajat Travel po is a standalone travel agency sa Calao Street, Ermita, City of Manila, Metro Manila. And then the last segment is entertainment and recreation. In identifying the site for entertainment and recreation, it is important to identify the kind of operation. Kung theme park po ba yan, casino, and etc. This is a significant issue in determining the size of the lot. Regarding the demographics of the area, questions such as, are there possible users within a 5-kilometer radius? Or will it cater to local and foreign visitors and tourists? Should be asked. High foot traffic for potential clients can also be a factor in the site selection. Assessment of the competition in the area and proximity to other services and businesses can supplement and complement the establishment. The ordinances of the site determine if the business will be allowed by the government or not. The availability of the utilities in the area, such as water, electrical, sewage, and communication system, is also an important factor to consider. So, an example po is Enchanted Kingdom sa Santa Rosa, Laguna. Pati na rin po ang Sky Ranch Tagaytay. And obviously, napakalaki po nung lot or land area na nasakop nila. Kasi po, syempre, yung rides, they require lots and lots of space. Pati na rin po yung ibang attractions na ina-offer nila sa kanilang theme parks. And then, Likert scale for site selection. I'm sure we are familiar po with Likert scale gawa ng ating mga thesis or research. Pero kahit sa site selection, meron pa rin po tayong Likert scale. Pwede pa rin po siyang ma-apply. Renesis Likert is a social psychologist. He proposed the use of points to develop a rating scale. The Likert scale is used to measure conditions to aid in decision-making by identifying criteria and assigning a rate. So, ito pong nasa presentation natin is a checklist. So, itong nasa presentation po natin is an example. So, sabi dito, Project Brief. A chain of European resort hotel owners is planning on expanding to Southeast Asia. The majority of the resorts have rooms ranging from a 200 to 500 bed occupancy. Their brand promotes luxury while communing with nature. The following criteria were set for the initial assessment of 3 different sites in the Philippines. More thorough site criteria were done by a team of multidisciplinary professionals composed of architects, engineers, landscape architects, professionals from the hospitality and tourism industry, market and brand specialists, and others as needed and prescribed by the owners. Scoring is from 1 to 5, with 5 as the highest possible score. And then, as we can see po dito sa presentation, ayan po yung iba't ibang criteria nila. Then, as we can see from the presentation po, yung iba't ibang criteria nila ay itong land criteria, the availability of transportation facilities, the accessibility to utility and service, vulnerabilities to natural hazards, land use and zoning, and accessibility to support facilities. So, meron po silang 3 sites na kino-consider. Site A, Site B, and Site C. And then from 1 to 5, with 5 as the highest possible score, ni-rate po nila yung kada ni-rate po nila yung criteria for each site. And according sa total score, Site B po yung nagkaroon ng highest score, which is 23. Sumunod po yung Site C na may total score na 22. And then, yung Site A po, may total score na 20. Based on the Likert scale, Site B has the highest rating. So, kung ipagpapatuloy nga po talaga ng European Resort Hotel na mag-expand sa Southeast Asia at gusto nilang mag-refer dito sa Likert scale na to, Site B po ang kanilang pipiliin. Most likely na kanilang pipiliin. And that is the end of chapter 6, site selection. Thank you.
Good day, I'm Krishalin Nacional, and I'm here to present planning specifics for hospitality and tourism property. This chapter will help us to understand the design requirements for specialized facilities. And those are the hotels, accommodations, spas, and resorts. For the chapter's overview, the hospitality and tourism industry has evolved significantly due to technological advances in transportation and communication. So, we need to adapt to technological advances in the hospitality industry to enhance guest experiences, improve efficiency, and stay competitive. Diversified designs practices are now specific to each type of facility, such as resorts, restaurants, city hotels, and spas. And the importance of this chapter, addressing specific needs of specialized facilities, is necessary for successful development and guest satisfaction. So, as we all know, the main goal of the hospitality industry is to provide exceptional service and experiences to the guests, ensuring their satisfaction and comfort. Next, the chapter objectives identify specific requirements for building various hospitality and tourism facilities. Next, explain the importance of area specific planning in hospitality tourism. So there are influences on development that we need to consider. These are the key factors. First one is the marketing, economics, location, enterprise, planning, and design. Let's talk about marketing. So in here, we will use Crimson Hotel as an example. Marketing is all about assessing demand and ensuring there is an unsatisfied market need for the facility. So, in here, they celebrate every event for their marketing purposes. They have the Pride Month, Father's Day, Independence Day, Easter, Mother's Day, and a lot more. So, they celebrate each occasion as their marketing strategy. Next, economics, evaluating economic condition and financial constraints or incentives. So in here, Crimson Hotel adjusts its rates based on various factors, including the demand, seasonability, local economic conditions, and market competition. So during high demand periods, such as holidays or major events, rates are typically higher. And conversely, during low demand periods, the hotel may offer discounts or special promotions to attract guests. Next, the location, ensuring appropriate sites with adequate infrastructure. As we can see in these pictures, Crimson hotels are strategically located in key areas across the Philippines, including Cebu, Boracay, Pampanga, and Alabang. So each location offers unique attractions and amenities that cater to both leisure and business travelers, enhancing the overall guest experience. Next, the enterprise, understanding the entrepreneurial requirements for finance and expertise. So these rates were set based on factors such as location, room type, seasonability, and market demand. So they typically offer a range of rates to accommodate different budgets and preferences. So by doing this, um, they ensure competitive pricing while maintaining the quality and services expected from a premium hotel brand. So these are not just numbers, they carefully studied and computed these rates. Next, we have the planning and design, the technical aspects to create attractive and functional facilities. So the planning and the design of Crimson Hotel involves meticulous consideration of architectural aesthetics, functional layouts, and luxurious amenities. So these elements are carefully designed to create a welcoming and memorable guest experience. Next, we'll talk about planning specifics for hotels and lodging. So, there are six things to consider in designing an accommodation establishment. First, storytelling and design concept. Developing a theme that defines the hotel's identity and guest experience. So, the importance of this storytelling as a theme development tool. Next, influences design of common areas, operational procedures, and branding. So in Crimson Hotel, they say that they are your urban scape in Alabang. Why? Because they are a five-star haven in Alabang's vibrant heart, nestled in the metro's central business district. So in here, there are elements to consider: the common and private areas, textures, facilities, strategies, and signature experiences. So your lodging, your hotel must have a story to tell. That it must be unique so that guests or people will remember your place. Next, the design and its connection to external elements. Considering climatic conditions and their impact on design. So the impacts, climate and location affect outdoor and indoor design integration of the environment into the guest experiences. So the considerations, the sun motion, the zoning, functions, materials, textures, and colors. So as we can see in this picture, this is the swimming pool in Crimson Hotel. It is located at the rooftop, providing stunning panoramic views of the cityscape or natural surroundings. Next, the hotel first impression. This is very important. Designing key entry points to create a welcoming atmosphere. The importance, establishing the design concept within the first 7 seconds. There are key areas, those are the entrance, the reception, and the route to guest room. Fourth one, the guest room, ensuring comfort and functionality in guest room layout. So the key elements are the bed, the shower area, and the storage spaces. This is one of the executive rooms in Crimson Hotel Alabang. So as we can see, the color, the texture, the lighting are in uniform. So our aim to this is to transform narrative into a comprehensive floor plan using textures, materials, lighting, and color. Next, the guest experience. So, balancing aesthetics and functionality for a memorable stay. Must be balanced, the aesthetic and functional to the needs of the guests. So in here, we must be we must consider the arrival experience of the guest, the accommodation, the dining experience, wellness and leisure, special events and activities, and the departure experience. So our goal is to create spaces for relaxation, entertainment, fun, socialization, and gastronomic enjoyment. So this is Cafe 8 at the Crimson Hotel, where different cuisines are served with a stunning view overlooking the city. Next, the hotel common areas. Designing social spaces that enhances the overall guest experience. Importance, the lounges, restaurants, and pool areas enhance social interaction. The design focus must be lively, fun spaces that support branding and revenue generation. So, the role to facilitate guest and local interactions, contributing to the overall experience. Just like this one, okay, Crimson Hotel ensures that every guest enjoys a memorable, comfortable, and personalized experience, making their stay truly exceptional. Now, let's talk about planning specifics for restaurants and other food service establishments. So, I will use Soul Kitchen restaurant in Los Baños, Laguna as an example, and there are 10 key aspects that we need to consider. First one, the facade is very important. It attracts and recognizes guests. Attractive and recognizable design. It has bold name and theme to establish an image. So in here, as we can see, Seoul Kitchen used the N Seoul Tower in Seoul, Korea. So it portrays that the restaurant is something to do with Korean foods. Next, another aspect, keep an eye on your target clients. So it tailors design to specific market, designs tailored to, let's say, young crowd, corporate crowd, uh, people who likes to eat Korean food, and a lot more. Next aspect, choosing the right light. And it enhances atmosphere and functionality, enhances furniture, hide flaws, and appeals to guests, creates intimate and relaxing atmosphere. So as we can see inside Soul Kitchen, they use warm lights to enhance their restaurant, their furnitures to appeal to the guests. Another key aspect, establishing a clear layout creates effective and navigable spaces, visual path for guests, effective plot distribution for washroom and kitchen sizes. Next, selecting good music is another important aspect. Complements the restaurant theme, the music impacts guest behavior. So in Soul Kitchen, they usually play Korean music performed by different Korean groups. Next, taking care of your restrooms, maintains cleanliness and good image. For your kitchen, ensures safety and efficiency. For the heating and ventilation, provides comfort and safety, proper heating and air conditioning, and ensures comfort and safety. So in here, let's assess this restaurant in Los Baños, Laguna, which is the Hardin de Joy restaurant. So let's talk about the facade. It is a garden themed, inviting for plant enthusiasts. About the target client, can be for all age groups, especially plant lovers. The lighting, warm lighting to enhance the natural atmosphere. The color, it is earthy tones. There are greens, browns, and soft neutrals. For the table selection, they use wooden tables with a natural vibe. Next, for the layout, nature inspired ambience with a spacious and organic flow. So, next one, for the recap, planning specifics for hospitality and property. So, these are the key influences on development: marketing, economics, location, enterprise, planning, and design. For the hotel design considerations, we have storytelling and design concept, connection to external elements, first impressions, guest room design, guest experience, and common areas. For the restaurant design considerations, the facade, target clientele, lighting and color scheme, layout and table selection, music and restrooms, kitchen and ventilation. For the experiential exercises, your task is to have an online observation. So, all you need to do is to observe each clip and pay attention to the following aspects: the facade, lobbies, common areas, design, customer impressions, and services. And list down your observations. The first clip, second clip, third clip, the fourth clip, fifth, sixth, and for the restaurant facilities, we need to assess functionality and aesthetics in design. Next, this is the restaurant in Los Baños, Laguna, Jardin de Joy restaurant. Observe the restaurant design. Next, Spice Jar Restaurant, also in Los Baños, Laguna. Next, Coffee Grind in Los Baños, Laguna. Notice the design, the tables, the colors. And the last one, Bonitos Bar and Restaurant, also in Los Baños, Laguna. That's it for chapters 5, 6, and 7. Thank you so much for listening.